Our guest is Donald Tong. He's Hong Kong Commissioner for Economic and Trade Affairs in the United States, formerly served as Deputy Secretary for Home Affairs and as Deputy Secretary for the Environment in Hong Kong. Commissioner, what's happening in Hong Kong that affects us here in the United States?
I think the good news is that Hong Kong is an important market for U.S. products. Hong Kong economy has slowed down somewhat, but Hong Kong remains a very important export destination and also a place for investment for U.S. businesses.
Lots of U.S. businesses are there, huh?
Yes, indeed. We have over 1,400 U.S. companies in Hong Kong, and increasing on average by around 50 each year.
Whoa! So what's the attraction?
Hong Kong has a number of attractions for overseas companies, certainly including the U.S. We are famous for being a business-friendly economy and also a low and simple tax regime. Obviously, Hong Kong allows free flow of capital, information, and people, and Americans do not need a visa to come to Hong Kong. So all this, I think, attract lots of U.S. investment to come to Hong Kong. And obviously, Hong Kong is now a very important gateway for overseas companies to go into China, and also likewise for Hong Kong, for mainland companies to go overseas. So an important middleman.
So nowadays, it seems like when countries are interacting with each other, it's politics, security, but here a big one is trade, huh?
Yes.
Trade. What kind of goods are going back and forth between Hong Kong and the United States?
Yeah, we import a lot of precious metal, certainly transportation equipment like aircrafts, computer electronic products from the States. We export not that much to the U.S., but it's largely in computer and also office equipment and whatnot. Hong Kong does not produce much, and that's the reason why the U.S. has a huge trade surplus with Hong Kong.
It used to be a kind of an industrial manufacturing place, but now it's services, huh?
Yes, indeed. Hong Kong now, in terms of our economy, over 90% of the GDP comes from services. So we do not produce much, and we have been exporting a lot from around the world, and certainly from the U.S., which is our second largest trading partner.
What do they mean by this term re-exports, and what's that all about?
Sometimes products would go into Hong Kong first and then be re-exported to the mainland of China. There are certain products which go through Hong Kong like that, and likewise, some of the products, for example, those made in China, they would also go through Hong Kong to reach overseas economies like the U.S.
Now, the United States sometimes uses, I gather, Hong Kong as a kind of a test market for goods that may end up in mainland China. Explain that to me. I think it's fascinating.
Yes.
Kind of a middleman, huh?
Yeah, indeed. Hong Kong, we have 7 million people, but last year we have 48 million tourists from around the world, including 35 million mainland visitors. Visitors from the mainland of China. And when they are in Hong Kong, they shop a lot.
Okay.
And that turned Hong Kong into a very good market for overseas branding products to test which particular line of products, the size and whatnot, which would work very well in Hong Kong. If it worked in Hong Kong, then the chances that this would work also in the mainland of China.
Oh, I see. So using the people who are coming from mainland as tourists.
Yes.
To vet our products.
Exactly.
Now, do companies make an adjustment if something? I guess if it's not selling in Hong Kong, it's not going to sell in mainland China, right?
We have so strong social and cultural ties of our friends in the mainland of China. So what works in Hong Kong would possibly work in the mainland of China, and indeed in Hong Kong is trend setting, so to speak. So, for example, for those companies engaging in handbags, and of course we know that for lady handbags, there are various sorts of style, leather, synthetic fiber, different sort of style like handheld with shoulder straps and whatnot. So which would work best? You need to test a taste of the preference of the mainlanders in Hong Kong before taking them into the mainland of China.
Got it. So we're talking about Hong Kong, we're talking about mainland. So we're going to take a little break. When we come back on the other side, I want to understand clearly the relationship between Hong Kong and the mainland, because they call it one country and two systems. So we'll take a little break, come back on the other side. We're talking with Donald Tong, and he is the commissioner, Hong Kong Commissioner for Economic and Trade Affairs here in the United States. Sit tight. This is America and the World. This is America is brought to you by the National Education Association, the nation's largest advocate for children and public education. The Republic of Kazakhstan in the heart of Eurasia, a rich history, a culture of hospitality, and a future of development and growth. The U.S.-China Education Trust and the F.Y. Chang Foundation. The League of Arab States, representing 350 million people in 22 member countries. The Rotendaro Family Trust. The Embassy Series, uniting people through musical diplomacy, presenting international artists in diplomatic settings. Commissioner, educate us on the relationship between Hong Kong and the mainland.
Yeah. Hong Kong was a British colony before 1997. But in the middle of 1997, Hong Kong reverted to the mainland Chinese government. So we are part of China, but at the same time, we operate under what we call a one country, two systems principle. So that means Hong Kong has a high degree of autonomy, although we are part of China. So what does that mean? For example, Hong Kong has our own immigration and customs authority. We print our own currency. We issue our own passport, different from the mainland Chinese ones. And we also have a different legal system and tax system. For example, in Hong Kong, we continue to practice the British common law legal system. And we also have an independent judiciary, separate and distinct from the mainland of China.
So if somebody got in trouble, how they might be treated in Hong Kong under a different legal system might be different than how they would be treated in the mainland or in another country, huh?
Yeah, indeed, all the criminal and civil cases would be handled in Hong Kong by the Hong Kong judiciary. So there is no question of taking civil or criminal cases in Hong Kong to the mainland of China for adjudication.
So if a business had a contract problem, it would be adjudicated in arbitration would happen in Hong Kong?
Yeah. For example, for many American and overseas companies, they do run various sorts of operations in Hong Kong. And if they have any sort of legal disputes with the Hong Kong parties, the cases will be heard in Hong Kong, arbitrated or mediated or adjudicated in Hong Kong and not in the mainland of China. And indeed, separately, we have some special arrangement with the mainland Chinese government. So, for example, in these days, even some of the commercial cases that involve mainland parties could now be taken to Hong Kong for arbitration, as long as they have this special provision in the legal contract with the mainlanders.
So you have also some judges that come from other British or United Kingdom
yes.
countries and sit on cases in Hong Kong?
Yes.
How does that work out?
Yeah, because the Hong Kong judiciary, we have judges from the common law jurisdiction area, because Hong Kong continues to practice British common law. So we have judges sitting in our judiciary from New Zealand, Australia, and also the United Kingdom. And this practice is also extended to the Court of Final Appeal, which is equivalent to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Wow. I would gather it, however, that foreign affairs and military matters are still headquartered back in Beijing. Huh?
Yeah. Hong Kong has a high degree of autonomy, except in those two areas that you just mentioned. So national defense and also foreign affairs, this fall within the Beijing's hands. And of course, we do not pay for the stationing of the People's Liberation Army in Hong Kong, which is good. And one of the reasons leading to the reason why Hong Kong government has a huge fiscal surplus.
Now, it has a technical name, Hong Kong Special Administrative Region
Yes.
of the People's Republic of
Yes.
China, right?
Yes.
That's the official name.
Yes.
Alrighty. Heritage Foundation has this big book that they put out every single year, and it calls Hong Kong the freest
Yes.
economy in the world.
Yes.
You mentioned low, is it low or no taxes or tariffs?
LOW. We do have tax, but on the low side, very low side.
On the low side?
Yes, very low.
How about tariffs, goods coming in, going out?
Most of the products going in Hong Kong do not pay tariff. On certain products, we still have tariff, for example, cars. But for tariff on many other products, even on wine and strong liquor, we have abolished all of them. And that helped Hong Kong to develop itself into a regional wine hub.
So they say free economy.
Yes.
They say a great place for investment. Why is that so?
Yeah, because Hong Kong is an important gateway to the mainland of China and to the Asia-Pacific economy. So that works very well. And we will continue to play a very important role in helping China to open up to the world.
How about, you mentioned currency before, that you have your own currency. How does that work as far as loans are concerned and interest rates are concerned? I don't want to get too technical now, but there's something happening offshore that makes low interest rates possible on loans, huh?
Yeah, because Hong Kong dollar is our own currency is pegged to the US dollar. So because the US is now maintaining a very low interest rate, and so is the interest rate in Hong Kong, remaining on the very low side. And at the same time, Hong Kong has now developed itself into what we call an offshore renminbi business center.
What is that word?
Renminbi or yuan is the mainland Chinese currency.
Okay.
It is the renminbi is not yet a fully convertible currency, but Hong Kong has been working with the mainland China to help to enable foreigners to be able to have access to the renminbi or the Chinese currency, because and more companies, for example, those in the U.S., are interested in using the renminbi services and banking services in Hong Kong, because it would help to offset the risk of transactions with mainland companies.
Do a lot of businesses invest in Hong Kong?
We have lots of overseas companies, Taiwan companies, and also mainland companies. Altogether, around 7,200 of them, and they are all operating very well. But I must add that the U.S. is the single largest source of non-local companies in Hong Kong.
So investment is one. Trading partners is important as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Hong Kong itself is a city-state, right? Is that correct?
A special administrative region.
Oh, what's the difference between a special administrative region and a city-state?
Well, we are not a fully autonomous state, and we are just a city government. But at the same time, we operate with a high degree of autonomy, I think, which is much more than many other cities.
Okay. What's going on that they have at such high a rate of GDP and also high rate of IQ? Quality of living is supposed to be terrific there. What's going on?
In Hong Kong, our GDP per capita is around $37,000 US. And that enables us to 37,000. We are still lagging behind the US, but one of the highest in Asia Pacific region.
Ours is in the 40s, isn't it?
Yeah, more than 40.
Okay.
Yeah. But because
what is it on the mainland?
Mainland is around $5,000 US GDP. So the Hong Kong economy, as you can see, in terms of per capita GDP, is much closer to the developed economies like in the US rather than the mainland of China. And because Hong Kong is a major services oriented economy, and that's the reason why we have been importing so much from around the world, including the mainland of China and also the US. So as the Hong Kong economy continues to grow, we are very confident that Hong Kong will remain a very important market for U.S. products.
And how many people from the States live there? Do you have any idea about that?
According to the U.S. government, there are around 60,000 of them.
60,000?
60,000 of them. Americans, American passport holders, yes.
And you mentioned 45 million people come and visit there. every year?
Yeah, last year is 48 million, and we expect more to come this year.
Now, it's a fairly small area, isn't it?
Yes.
And how is it made up? What's the physical layout?
Hong Kong is very hilly. We have around 410, 420 square miles, so not really that big. You have to discount around maybe 70 to 60% of this because these are occupied by country parks, marine parks, whereby we cannot allow residential or commercial developments. So basically, we have to put all these 7 million people in approximately 130, 150 square miles. So that makes Hong Kong one of the highest density city around the world.
So it's a vertical.
Yes.
Vertical city.
Yes, I admire the U.S. because you folks can grow horizontally, but we don't have a choice. We have to grow vertically.
So one of the things I read, which I thought was an amazing statistic, it said that for people who live or work above the 14th floor, that it was number 1 in the world. Does that compute in your mind? Huh?
Indeed, in Hong Kong, we all live in the multi-story building, high-rise. You have to be a billionaire in order to own a house in Hong Kong. So, and indeed, the Hong Kong property market has become very expensive. Although at the same time, I should say that because of our low and simple tax rate, so most people can still keep most of the money and making Hong Kong a very good place for investment for overseas players.
A couple of years ago, almost 10% of the population were millionaires.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Whoa. That's a pretty tasty thing.
Yeah.
What do the people do there? They get on the transport. Transport is huge. Public transport. 90% of the people use public transport.
Yes, because in Hong Kong, road space is very precious, and that's the reason why we try to encourage most of the folks to take public transportation. Hong Kong's public transportation is not run by the government. It is all privately owned. We have a very good subway system that takes people, millions of people on a daily basis. And also because of the availability of this good and efficient and cheap public transportation system, Hong Kong government therefore has a very high tariff when one wants to import a vehicle into Hong Kong. We basically we try to use we try to use tax as a disincentive for people to buy cars. Having said that, Hong Kong still have around 500,000 vehicles.
Do you have a car? Do you have a car?
I do have a car when I was in Hong Kong.
When you were in Hong Kong. So do I gather that not as many people feel that they have to have a car, huh?
Yes, you're right. And indeed, I think possibly when I return to Hong Kong, I might not want to buy a car because I had a car in those days because of my 2 young kids. And the 2 kids are now in college. So possibly Hong Kong public transportation system and the taxis are very good. So no, you don't really need a car to travel around.
People get up in the morning, what do they do? Go to an office, I guess, huh? They're going to an office.
Yes. Absolutely.
And they're dealing in this financial sector, services sector, and things like that.
Yeah. In Hong Kong, around close to 60% of people work in financial services, tourism, logistics and trade, and professional services, meaning serving as accountant, medical professional, lawyers, architects, and whatnot. And Hong Kong is also a major exporter of services to China and to Asia Pacific.
So banking and insurance and finance and all that kind of thing.
Yes.
So if we come, or when we come to Hong Kong, if people come as a tourist, what are they going to do? What are they going to see?
I would suggest number one, we started to welcome you.
The view is just spectacular, isn't it? I mean, the city.
I think the first point to note is our airport, because for Americans, you possibly would land at the Hong Kong airport. Our airport is
the old one was the scariest one in the world.
Yeah, it's also some sort of experience to remind those of how beautiful Hong Kong is, because you will actually be able to see what sort of movie people were watching, or what sort of food they had. you will be really flying very close to all these households. But we have relocated airport in 1998, and now our new airport, one of the best in the world, and also the busiest air cargo hub in the world.
Air cargo
hub in the world, and it has over 300 shops and restaurants, and also a 3D cinema. So I think you will possibly be very impressed, and of course duty-free shopping at the airport as well. But once you go beyond airport, using a affordable public transportation subway system, then you will be able to see lots of things in Hong Kong. We have the biggest border in Asia. We have Disney Park. We have Disney, yeah, absolutely. You'll be able to see Mickey and Minnie in Chinese costumes. You can also go to our Ocean Park, which is a mix of, I would say, SeaWorld and also Six Flags. You know, very exciting for young kids.
Yeah.
We also, Hong Kong is also very famous, a very famous shopping paradise because of our duty-free environment. And of course, we have over 12,000 restaurants. So it will take you 10 years to finish visiting all of them. And I should also mention that we have duty-free wine. So
wine is a big thing going back and forth between the United States and Hong Kong. What's that all about?
You're referring to the wine thing, or yes?
The wine,
yes.
I mean, you make a thing of Hong Kong wine, and then there's an agreement with some United States.
Exactly. Yeah. We used to have 40% tariff on wine, on imported wine. Hong Kong does not produce wine, so we have to import wine from around the world. Before 2008, the duty rate on wine is around 40%. But in early 2008, we removed the duty on wine, and since then, Hong Kong's wine market has blossomed. So, for example, some of the important things that Americans may not know: Hong Kong is now the third largest export destination for U.S. wine. Last year, we import around $63 million of wine from the U.S., increasing by around sevenfold from 2008, and we also have entered into a special memorandum of understanding with the U.S. and also with Washington State and also Oregon State to help facilitate and promote their wine in Hong Kong. We certainly, when you are in Hong Kong, you'll be able to sample lots of different sorts of wine from around the world. But certainly, the U.S. wine is out there.
Wow. What's the job? What's the mission that you have here in Washington, and I guess a couple of other places around the United States?
Yes.
The trade office, economic and trade office. You're a commissioner.
Yes.
You're not the ambassador. The ambassador is from the mainland, right?
Yes, because Hong Kong is not a sovereignty.
Right.
So we can only have commissioner and directors in the U.S. We have altogether 3 offices. The headquarters in Washington, D.C. We also have office in San Francisco and also in New York. We specialize in promoting closer economic, trade, and cultural ties between the U.S. and Hong Kong. And so we, lots of investors, lots of U.S. companies which set up offices in Hong Kong will go through us, and we certainly would be more than happy to offer free counsel and services to all these companies that are interested in pursuing this. And if there are any companies, U.S. companies, that would like to explore the Hong Kong market, or explore the mainland market through Hong Kong, we would also be more than happy to assist them.
So you do a lot of travel around this country?
I travel around a lot.
So you're actually going into different states, meeting with governors and mayors to try to establish that?
Yes.
Up in Washington, who are you dealing with most? Like the Congress, or who do you deal with?
We deal a lot of deals with the federal government, for example, the State Department, certainly the Department of Commerce, Treasury Department, because Hong Kong is a very important financial center. We also work with the USTR, Homeland Security Department as well, because Hong Kong is Hong Kong has this busiest air cargo hub, and we also have the third busiest container point in the world. So we have lots of business to deal with Homeland Security Department. But we also work closely with the U.S. Congress, working with media agencies like yours, and also the think tanks. We also give a lot of talks across the country to colleges, because we want to encourage more Americans to work in Hong Kong.
You had a similar position back in 1997 in Canada. That was when the handover was taking place. So how have you seen China change in that period of time? 16 years, right?
Yes.
And now you're representing Hong Kong here. How have you seen it all change?
I think certainly China has become much more prosperous. The GDP per capita has gone up significantly, and China has been growing very quickly. They have been exporting a lot of students, a lot of products, and also making much more investment across the world. This is something that we very much welcome, and indeed Hong Kong also benefit as well because we have such close economic and trade links with the mainland of China. Hong Kong has been playing a very important role in this regard and serving as a very important gateway for overseas investments to go into the mainland of China, and we believe that we will continue to play a very, very useful role in this regard.
Commissioner, thank you for the education. Thank you for the visit. We wish you well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For information about my new book, The Chance of a Lifetime, and online video for all This Is America programs, visit our website, thisisamerica.net. And now you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. This Is America is brought to you by the National Education Association, the nation's largest advocate for children and public education. The Republic of Kazakhstan in the heart of Eurasia, a rich history, a culture of hospitality, and a future of development and growth. The U.S.-China Education Trust and the F.Y. Chang Foundation. The League of Arab States, representing 350 million people in 22 member countries. The Rotendaro Family Trust. The Embassy Series, uniting people through musical diplomacy, presenting international artists in diplomatic settings.